What's up, YouTube? This is EUC Sharkman here, and I was taking a look at my YouTube channel and thought, you know what, I should probably update some of the content I have on there. I think the last time I posted stuff was way back in 2021, and since then I've gotten a new camera. I've been capturing a lot of footage of some of the rides, and I thought I'd upload some stuff to YouTube because in the past year I've been doing a lot of my content on Instagram or Facebook, but I realized that it's sometimes a lot easier to share a YouTube video or share something in longer form than I do with my Instagram Reels or Facebook Reels. So starting now, I'm going to try to post more content onto my YouTube channel in higher resolution. I know this one's in 1080p, but in the future I'll look at maybe using uploading in 4K video. This particular trip was recent, very recent. It was the Clark Burgers and Trails camping trip up in Northern California near the Russian River. This was run by Christopher Clark from ClarkPads, and invited mostly a lot of Bay Area folk, but it was a cool ride nonetheless. The way it was kind of set up was there was a campground site available to rent, or to kind of stay for during the duration of the camping trip. And then from there we would go out and ride the surrounding roads around the Russian River. A lot of scenery like this with nice wooded areas. It had been raining kind of recently, so everything's nice and lush and green, and along the coast on Highway 1. And the beauty of these rides is that there's not a whole lot of traffic on these roads, but and there's also not a lot of stop signs, so you don't have to stop and dismount. You could just ride down these kind of wide open roads. It curves every now and then, and you get some beautiful sights of nature. There were several rides planned during this trip, but I was really only able to make the really long ride on Saturday, which was a 60-mile ride through wooded areas like this and around the coast. I had to opt out of the dirt and kind of muddy rides, the trails part of the activities, because I just had my X20S, and that's more of a heavy street wheel, which I think would have been awful to ride in the mud, and probably would have broken the wheel if I tried to do that. So opted out of those reels, but opted out of those rides. But these rides in particular, the street rides, were amazing. It's a perfect usage of the wheel with the suspension and the battery. In this ride, we had a group led by Jesse of Pevra, Trung, one of the local riders, Ryan, Sam, and then Tony, and of course Chris. We rode in two packs. The faster pack would stay ahead and kind of make sure the roads were clear, while the slower pack made sure everyone was kept up with the group. And we were all on Cardo communications, so it was very easy to stay in contact with the different groups. If we had to take breaks, we took breaks. But for the most part, it was done very safely. And really, we just enjoyed the ride, going at kind of whatever speeds we were comfortable riding on these roads alongside the cars, and just enjoyed the scenery. Like when I tell people about EUC riding here in the Northern California, the Bay Area, I tell people it's an opportunity to enjoy everything that EUC riding has to offer, right? This is one of them, which I call kind of my winding road nature type rides. Stuff you would see like on Marty's channel when he's out in the mountains, where it's like a long 60, 70 plus mile ride of just flowing roads, beautiful scenery, and you kind of take it at the pacing you want, right? You're not in a huge rush. You're not being rushed by cars. You don't need sharp, reaction speeds from, I don't know, pedestrians coming out at you. It's just, you just ride, go with the flow, relax, like taking a really long walk and enjoying the nature, the scenes here in nature. But other rides that I've been able to participate here in the Bay Area, we do a lot of urban fast rides where you are kind of in traffic and you're weaving through cars. There's also night rides where you can kind of go and experience a city at night, where there's less cars on the road. I also enjoy little bike path rides where it's super slow, where I'm with my kids. We go under 15 miles an hour. We just kind of enjoy a very, very safe area. So EUC riding, I always tell people, is for everybody. You don't have to go into areas you're not comfortable with, there's a lot of ways to enjoy easy riding of whatever wheel you have, right? I have my EX20 for these fast road, rides, fast on the streets, group rides, things like that. But I also have my smaller wheels that I ride with my kids that are more like sidewalk friendly or skateboard friendly, where I'm just there to chill out, not wear a ton of gear, and just kind of ride at a very slow pace. So a lot of what I try to post on content here is to encourage people, hey, easy riding isn't just motorcycle riding, it isn't just e-bike type riding, it isn't just e-skate riding, it's all of it, really. And then try to encourage and grow this community, because as Sean says in New York on his blog, the only way we can kind of further the hobby is to get more people riding. So I want to encourage with my videos and content, if you're interested in EC riding, you totally can. You can ride with me, you can ride with my kids, you could ride with Jesse on the streets, going super fast in San Francisco. You could ride with us here in long nature rides here. We go down to Southern California, ride with Marty, ride on Glendora Mountain Road, whatever you guys want. If you're in the sport, it's very welcoming. There's a huge community out there ready to ride with you. One other thing that people get pretty nervous about EUC riding is when you are riding on the roads, because there are cars there, right? And EUCs have now advanced to the point where you can go, car speeds. We can go 25, 30 miles an hour. And going these speeds feels scary because you're on this device, but it's really, when you're on roads like this, it's safer for you because it gives cars a longer reaction time if you're going the speeds that they're going. Now, as you can see here, we're moved out of the forest, and we're here on the coast of Highway 1, and you look over here, I got my family parked on the side. They're waving to us as we were riding by, so it's kind of cool to see them. But again, when you're out here riding, kind of the joy of riding is you get to take in the scenery without having to look out a car window or look through a TV screen of sorts. You are there, and every turn is an opportunity for you to see something really, magnificent, or something really majestic. Peering over the cliffs here with the water and the sun shining on it. It really was truly breathtaking. There were a lot of roads on this ride that I've driven past. Me and my family, we go up the coast often and hang out and go camping or rent houses to be in this area because it really is kind of beautiful to be out with nature. But for a lot of these roads, we just drive by. There's no reason for us to take our car on our giant SUV or on windy roads in the back country. But when it comes to the EUC, it is perfect. The windy roads are super fun. It's basically like you're skiing on concrete, and there's not a lot of traffic on those roads because there's not a lot of reason for cars to be out there. And so it's just a wonderful experience, and it's it's much like when people talk about riding on motorcycles, going out to the country and seeing it. But on EUC, it's much more portable. It runs on electricity. You don't have to worry about getting a special license or registration or insurance. You can go out and enjoy these like you would like an e-bike or a bicycle, but in a sense where you're controlling this vehicle with your weight, so it feels like it's a part of you. One thing I wanted to mention too is when I'm on the road going car traffic speeds, I try to adjust my gear to reflect that, so that I'm safe if I happen to go into a crash. So in my kit, I have a motorcycle helmet that's, in this case, it's the AGV-K6 that is both DOT and ECE rated. I have a motorcycle jacket with hard armor on the outside and soft kind of CE padding, CE level 2 padding on the inside. I have riding pants with pads on the inside, plus the Liats. So as the joke goes, my knee pads have knee pads, but it's good because it protects me from falls, the impact of the fall, and the Liats help me slide if I'm going at a fast speed. When they call it dress for the slide, that's where it helps out there too. As natural, I have wrist guards and moto gloves to protect my hands. And in this case, I normally wear moto boots. I didn't wear it because we were camping and I didn't have a lot of room for both, but normally I would also wear moto boots, which protects your feet from scraping on the ground. On this ride, we had there was one rider there that I didn't know. All the other riders I knew since starting riding back in 2021. Again, it's a very friendly community here. And this rider, Nova, she came on a whim and just hung out with us. And she wanted to ride on this part. She was riding the second part of our 60-mile ride on her 84 volt 18XL, which I was a little nervous because there are limitations in 84 volt wheel. But you know what? As I said, as long as you have a crew with you to back you up and watch out for cars and everybody's communicating very clearly about what's coming up, it actually is not too bad. In this case, I felt more comfortable having her in front because I didn't want to be in front and going, 100 volt speeds with my wheel going, hitting 40, 50, and didn't want to pressure her into feeling like she had to keep up and push her wheels to the limit. So instead of that, I let her take the lead. We all backed her up. We blocked the cars to make sure they weren't getting a little too pushy with trying to move forward. And that made it safe for everybody to run as a pack. And again, she didn't have cardo, but the rest of us did. So we could communicate and call out to the group ahead, hey, we're coming. Hey, we need a break. Can we slow down? So here in the back, we had Tony and Trung making sure cars weren't too aggressive when we were going down these streets. And then I would help keep an eye on Nova as she was up front. So in that case, we were trying to hey, there's a car coming up, and that car, we motioned that car to go ahead before the turn so that we wouldn't run into that car during the turn. So again, as you see here, the flowers in bloom, sky was a beautiful blue. It had rained the first night of the camping trip. Not ideal, ideally it's pretty dry. So we had a little bit of rain there, but it also meant that we didn't have to suffer through a lot of brown plants because we had some good rainfall this year, and which was really nice. And so in this case, we're just again heading back to our campsite. I try to use different camera angles that convey what we're seeing, really, because the star of the show when we're riding is the freedom of moving at will on your EUC, and also just seeing the scenery from, just being out there in the scenery. Again, here's Tony and Trung doing a great job of telling us how many cars are behind us and, what speeds we're at, if we're cool, if we have to move up a little bit. So great thanks to them for watching our back during this, because again, sometimes you don't know what's in drivers' minds. If they're impatient, are they going to try to pass us up on a solid double yellow line like this where it's a little bit sketchy? But for the most part, once we made it into the lesser trafficy roads, like here on the road over to our campsite, it was nice. It was, we get to cross bridges, we got to see a lot of full rivers because of the rainfall. So the rivers were full. They weren't dehydrated like in past years with the drought. And no, this place was really nice. Again, my family and I, we pass by this place often, but we never stop here. It's always on the way to somewhere else. So it was really nice to get an invitation from the Clarks as part of this event to go to this campground and see what it's like to camp near the Russian River, and of course being able to take our EUCs and ride the surrounding areas. Again, it's just super beautiful. I highly encourage people to take it. It's one of those things that I kind of mentioned on the Facebook forums once, where sometimes I question whether or not I'm spending too much on EUCs. Am I spending too much? Because I buy wheels for my family too. My son and daughter both ride. I wonder if I should be spending that money on something else, like a vacation or some other need. But then we go on a ride and we encounter some truly breathtaking scenery that exploring the world and experiencing the world in ways we would have never thought of. You can get a little bit of it biking, for example, but you'll get tired when you're biking, so it's limited. Same thing with hiking. You're limited in how much distance you can cover while you're hiking. But on the EUC, you got to get that best of both worlds. You get to experience long distances like you would any other kind of big vehicle, but you get to experience it like you're hiking out there in the middle of nowhere. And then, it's pennies on the dollar to charge your wheel up. In this case, we had RV hookups, so every time we took a break, we stuck our chargers on there, got our wheels to 100%. Now then, after that 50-mile ride or 60-mile ride, We rested up at the campsite, and then my daughter is like, "Hey, I want to go on a little ride. Is there someplace safe I could go?" And I wasn't ready for my daughter to go on Highway 1 just yet, but there was a section nearby on the road to Occidental, which is one of the nearby towns, where they closed off that road to traffic due to a landslide. And the locals loved it because there are not a lot of traffic, in the area. So it's been a while for it to be fixed, but it was in our favor. So in this case, Sam and Trung are there. My daughter came along. We also had one of the older riders here in the Bay by the name of John Peters. He got to join us on his T4, which you can see here in the white helmet. So he was able to kind of join us on this little bit of ride. He actually went on the trail ride, whereas after folks broke off to go to the trail ride, a few of us came back to kind of bring my daughter back to the campground. So I stayed with them. And again, I had the heavy road wheel, so I didn't participate in the muddy trail ride. But here with my daughter, I want to kind of reiterate her protective kit. It's one of the things that my family, they feel okay me teaching the kids how to ride and having them ride on these wheels because I'm very careful about their protective gear. So my daughter here has a full iconic kind of with the ears, motorcycle helmet. She has a full Fox body armor that's under her jacket that has the full chest, back armor, and elbows and wrist guards and all that. She has wrist guards. She has a full knee and shin guard. And so she's fully protected. She has not gotten in a crash in a while because I don't put her on very high speed stress rides, but two, she's also pretty naturally, as kids go, they got great senses of balance. So she's here on her V11, which is a fairly new wheel for her. She's loving the suspension. This is a recommendation that she had from Nadia, otherwise known as EUC Girl in the community. They're good friends. They're nearby. So because there's not a lot of kids on group rides, my daughter loves when Nadia's out there because she just when we're having in between breaks, she gets to talk with another little girl her age and just talk about things like school and things like that, or what they're in Pokemon cards or whatever the case is. So it's cool to have that community again here in the Bay Area. It's a very diverse, very welcoming community of various individuals that are kind of well known in the EUC community at large. So here we are, just kind of ending the trip. This is kind of concludes the end of my video. So I'm going to try to get more content on here, hopefully in that 4K resolution when I can. But if you're interested in seeing more of our adventures, please like this video, and we'll see you again